Behind the gates of Buckingham Palace, something unusual is happening. Staff who never speak are talking. Files long sealed are resurfacing. And at the center of it all, Archie and Lilibet. And the palace itself is quietly moving, probing details that were meant to stay hidden. Meghan knows it, Harry knows it, and the storm about to hit? It's unlike anything the monarchy has faced before. Let's dive in.
There's a lot of red flags that popped up for me in this. And I think any woman who has been pregnant can tell you that she probably wasn't pregnant and didn't give it.
Everything she's done has only drawn more speculation and brought the controversies back up.
Meghan Markle, I swear, is the only woman in the world to have a moon bump that changes shape so many times throughout a day.
Meghan Markle has never officially submitted any birth certificate or presented them in public from her.
Sources close to the palace administration claim a special team was assembled. Their task was simple on paper, but explosive in reality. Review every official document related to the births of Archie Harrison and Lilibet Diana. Check dates, verify locations, find inconsistencies. Why now? That's the question everyone inside those walls keeps asking. Some say pressure came from parliament members who have been quietly demanding answers for years. Others claim King Charles himself ordered the review, and a few whisper something darker. They say new information surfaced. Information that couldn't be ignored anymore.
Meghan Markle's pregnancy, why would she fake it? Well, there's a good reason to that, right? Because of the line of succession alone.
The palace has survived scandals before. Affairs that rocked marriages, divorces that broke protocol, photographs that exposed secrets. But this is different. This threatens the very foundation of what the monarchy claims to be: transparent, honest, bound by law and tradition. And Meghan? Her legal team went silent the moment questions started circulating again. It feels like preparation. Preparation for something they knew was coming but hoped never would. But those whispers were nothing compared to what happened the day Archie was supposed to be born. May 6th, 2019. That's the date the world was told Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor entered the world. But from the moment that announcement came, nothing made sense. Royal births follow a pattern, a very specific, very public pattern. Kate Middleton did it 3 times. Diana did it twice. It's tradition. It's expected. It's how the public connects with the family.
Traditionally, royal births, like those of Prince William and Princess Catherine's children, followed a very clear pattern.
But Meghan? She shattered that pattern, and the explanations given never quite added up. First, there was confusion about the hospital. Reports claimed Portland Hospital. Then home birth rumors started. Then suddenly the story shifted to a private hospital with no name given. The palace released a statement saying Meghan went into labor early in the morning, but photographers who camped out at every possible location saw nothing. No royal convoy, no security presence, no movement whatsoever. Then came the birth certificate. When it was finally released, people noticed something immediately. The attending physician's name was there, but cross-checking revealed inconsistencies. Some claimed the doctor listed wasn't even working that day. Others pointed out that the signature looked irregular.
People say, well, of course the doctor didn't sign it because the doctor delivered Archie from someone else. And so they aren't willing to put their signature to this document that says Meghan is the birth mother.
And the location field, the place where the hospital name should be crystal clear, was vague. Unusually vague for an official document. But here's what really bothered royal watchers: the timing. Meghan's due date was publicly stated as late April, yet Archie allegedly arrived on May 6th. That's not unusual by itself, babies come late. But multiple sources claim Meghan's bump appeared to change size dramatically in the final weeks. Photos from March showed one size, photos from April showed another, and images from early May looked different again.
Eventually posted a birth certificate, it was delayed a little bit, and then it was amended 3 weeks later, which of course sparked.
Then came the birth certificate alteration. Weeks after Archie's birth, the document was quietly changed. Meghan's first names, Rachel Meghan, disappeared, replaced with just Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex. Palace sources claimed they ordered the change. Meghan's team said she never requested it. But either way, official documentation was altered after the fact, and altered documents raise questions about what else might have changed. Body language experts analyzed footage of Meghan during her pregnancy.
She isn't one event arriving, big belly. And then the belly is seemingly gone as she leaves.
Andy,
They pointed out moments where she appeared to forget she was supposed to be pregnant, bending in ways that would be uncomfortable, moving with ease that seemed inconsistent with late-term pregnancy, sitting down without the usual adjustments. Small things, easy to dismiss individually, but collectively, they painted a picture that made people uncomfortable. The palace could have ended all speculation with one simple move: release the hospital records. But they didn't. Instead, they cited privacy. They claimed Meghan deserved the same rights as any other mother. Legally, they're correct, but optically, it looked like hiding. And when institutions hide, people assume the worst. But if Archie's situation raised eyebrows, what happened with Lilibet made people demand answers. June 4th, 2021. Lilibet Diana Mountbatten Windsor was born in Santa Barbara, California, or so the announcement claimed. But this time, Meghan and Harry weren't dealing with British press protocol. They were in America. Different laws, different standards, different expectations. And somehow things got even murkier. The birth certificate was eventually released, but only after public pressure mounted. And when people saw it, questions exploded.
Certificates that are out there in the public domain posted by the newspapers. And as we can see here, this is Santa Barbara County, and his last name is His Royal Highness, okay? Which we know is incorrect. California does not allow titles to be included in official birth certificate documents. So we know that that's fake.
The document listed Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital, it listed a date, it listed parents' names, but other details seemed off.
What we're watching here is the infamous Certificate of Live Birth, State of California. And it says 105. We have already established that California is 104.
The filing date didn't match typical hospital procedures. The attending physician's information was minimal, and the certificate itself took weeks to surface when similar documents usually appear within days. But here's where things get truly strange. Multiple independent journalists tried to verify the birth through standard channels: hospital records requests, county register confirmations, the usual paper trail that exists for every birth in America. And they hit walls. Privacy laws were cited, HIPAA regulations were invoked, access was denied at every turn. Legal, yes, but unprecedented for a public figure's child, especially one in line to a throne.
At least 2-3 years, I have been trying to get a copy of the birth certificate for Lilibet, but I haven't been able to get it.
Then came the christening controversy, or rather, the lack of one. Archie's christening happened in private, breaking tradition, but still occurring in England with an archbishop present. Lilibet's? Nobody knows. Meghan and Harry claimed it happened. They said it was beautiful and intimate, but no photos were released. And here's what makes it constitutionally problematic. Lilibet was allegedly christened by the Archbishop of Los Angeles in the Episcopal Church, not the Church of England. Royal christenings matter. They're not just religious ceremonies. They're official recordings of lineage. They establish legitimacy in the eyes of the church and state. Without proper documentation, questions of succession become complicated. And the palace knows this, which is why sources say they've been quietly trying to obtain any proof of Lilibet's christening for months. So far, nothing. What happened with Lilibet in California wasn't an isolated incident. It mirrored exactly what happened with Archie in London. Same pattern of secrecy, same documentation gaps, same refusal to provide standard verification. One questionable birth could be dismissed as preference, but two children, both surrounded by the same unusual circumstances, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns make institutional lawyers nervous because succession isn't just about bloodline. It's about legitimacy, verifiable, documented legitimacy. But behind the official statements and privacy claims, a different narrative was forming online. The internet never forgets, and it never stops analyzing. From the moment Meghan announced her first pregnancy, online communities began documenting everything: photos, videos, public appearances. And what they found created a firestorm that never went out. The bump analysis videos started appearing within weeks, frame-by-frame comparisons showing Meghan's stomach appearing to change shape between morning and afternoon events. Skeptics claimed it was clothing, camera angles, lighting, but the videos kept coming, and the inconsistencies kept amounting. Then there were the behavior observations. Medical professionals, speaking anonymously, pointed out things that seemed unusual.
The bump doing this, up and down, up and then down, up and then down. How is that possible? And that's
The way Meghan bent at the waist during late pregnancy when most women can't. The heels she wore at 8 months when balance becomes difficult.
Notice, like, even Catherine, being the slim and tall woman that she is, she even gained a little bit of water weight, a little bit of retention. She never had any water weight. She always wore her wedding rings to the final day. Like, there's a lot of red flags that pop.
The lack of visible swelling in hands and face that typically accompanies third trimester. The ease with which she crossed her legs while sitting. Small details, but details that people who've been pregnant recognize as off. Again, individually explainable, collectively concerning.
Her belly go when she's leaning over trying to pet that dog. The dog doesn't even trust her in that photo.
There's definitely some odd motion. There's some odd discrepancies if these dates are correct, which I'm assuming it's weird how much that baby bump moves around. I'm not gonna lie.
Then came the moon bump comparisons. People found photos of theatrical pregnancy prosthetics used by actresses. They placed them side by side with photos of Meghan. The similarities were striking. The shape, the placement, the way they sat on the body. Companies that manufacture these prosthetics reported massive spikes in web traffic. Their products were being examined as potential matches. Meghan never addressed any of this directly. Her team issued blanket statements about respecting privacy and condemning conspiracy theories, but they never showed medical records, never provided additional documentation, just demands that people stop asking questions. Why would someone use a surrogate but hide it? That's what defenders always ask. And it's a fair question, but those following the story had theories. Royal rules about succession, potential complications if a surrogate was involved. Surrogate rumors existed for the second pregnancy too.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle face surrogacy controversy as explosive claims surface over birth of both royal children.
And then there were the sources, people claiming to have insider knowledge. Some said Meghan had a hysterectomy years before meeting Harry. Others claimed fertility issues made natural pregnancy impossible. A few alleged that surrogacy was arranged but hidden to avoid royal protocol complications. None could be verified, but the whispers came from too many directions to completely ignore.
So we have a geriatric mother whose father claims or whose brother claims that she had a hysterectomy, and she had some frozen eggs, who had a miscarriage.
Meghan can't be forced to release records. Legally, she's in the clear, but the court of public opinion operates differently. And in that court, silence reads as guilt. Now here's the question nobody's answering. Do you think Meghan's silence is protection or admission? Drop your thoughts below. And if this is blowing your mind, smash that like button because this gets darker. The palace watched all of this unfold online. They saw the videos, they read the analysis, they knew public doubt was growing, but they couldn't address it without seeming to validate the conspiracy theories. They were trapped between defending Meghan and protecting the institution. And as the speculation grew louder, they realized something terrifying. If any of this was true, if even a fraction of the allegations had merit, the implications were catastrophic. But speculation became secondary when lawyers started getting involved. Constitutional lawyers don't usually weigh in on celebrity gossip, but when questions of succession arise, they pay attention, and several have spoken carefully about what irregularities in royal birth documentation could mean. Their analysis is chilling. The line of succession is governed by law, not just tradition. The Succession to the Crown Act 2013 established clear rules, but those rules assume one fundamental thing: that births are documented accurately, that children in line to the throne are who the records claim they are, that no deception exists. If that assumption breaks, the entire structure wobbles. Legal experts point out that succession requires proof of biological descent. In the past, this was witnessed. Royal births had officials present precisely to verify legitimacy. The practice faded over time as medical documentation became standard, but the principle remains. The crown must pass to verified heirs. If verification is questioned, the claim becomes questionable. Archie and Lilibet are currently 7th and 8th in line to the throne. Not close enough to cause immediate concern, but lines of succession have changed
changed before. Accidents happen, and if someone with questionable documentation moved closer to the throne, Parliament would be forced to act. They would have to investigate, they would have to verify, and if they couldn't, they would have to remove that person from succession entirely. That's why this investigation matters. It's not about satisfying public curiosity, it's about protecting constitutional order. Sources say palace lawyers have been reviewing historical precedent, looking for similar cases, studying how previous monarchs handled succession disputes. What they found worried them, because historically, when legitimacy was questioned and couldn't be proven, the response was brutal. Titles were stripped. The institution protected itself at any cost. Modern law is less severe, but the principle remains. And here's what keeps Meghan's legal team up at night. The investigation isn't just British. American authorities could become involved if fraud allegations surface. Birth certificate fraud is a crime in California. If documents were falsified, if information was knowingly misrepresented, criminal charges could theoretically follow. Not likely, given the political sensitivity, but theoretically possible. Then there's the international aspect. Archie and Lilibet hold dual citizenship. They're British through Harry, American through birth location. If either citizenship is questioned, if documentation doesn't hold up under scrutiny, both countries have jurisdiction. Both countries can investigate, and both countries' laws apply. Contract law adds another layer. If surrogacy was involved, contracts exist. Agreements were signed, money changed hands. And in California, surrogacy agreements are legal documents subject to disclosure under certain circumstances. Sources close to the investigation say they're not looking to destroy Meghan, they're looking to protect the institution. But protecting the institution means verifying facts. And verifying facts means asking questions Meghan doesn't want to answer. Harry signed documents too. Birth registration forms, official announcements, legal papers that declared facts under oath. If those facts are questioned, his signature becomes questionable. And if his signature is found on knowingly false documents, he faces exposure too. Not criminal, likely, but institutional. The family could move against him, strip titles, remove privileges. But while Meghan faces institutional scrutiny, someone else is trapped in the crossfire. Prince Harry's position might be the most tragic element of this entire situation, because no matter how this resolves, he loses. If the allegations are false, he's watched his wife be dragged through years of speculation for nothing. If they're true, he's complicit in deception that could destroy his family legacy. Either way, he's trapped. Sources close to Harry describe a man under immense pressure. He chose Meghan over the institution. He walked away from royal duties. He burned bridges with his father and brother. He bet everything on building a new life in America with the woman he loves. But that bet assumed the foundation was solid. If cracks appear in that foundation, everything he sacrificed becomes meaningless. Behind the scenes, whispers suggest Harry has been asked direct questions by family members, and his responses have apparently been defensive. He sees the questions as attacks on Meghan. The family sees his defensiveness as evasion. Neither side is backing down. King Charles finds himself in an impossible position regarding his son. He loves Harry. He wants reconciliation. He wants his grandchildren in his life. But he also has institutional responsibilities. He's the king now. He can't ignore questions of succession. And he can't protect Harry if protecting Harry means compromising the monarchy. Sources say Charles has tried to have private conversations with Harry, phone calls where he's asked for honest answers, assurances that if mistakes were made, they can be corrected quietly, promises that the family wants to help, not harm. The palace has quietly offered solutions. Medical documentation could be reviewed privately. Birth records could be verified without public disclosure. Independent doctors could examine evidence confidentially. All of it designed to answer questions without creating spectacle. But Meghan has refused every offer, and Harry supports her refusal. To him, it's about principle. To the institution, it's about protocol. Neither will bend. Harry's friends, the few who still speak to him, describe a man who seems uncertain. Not about Meghan, he defends her absolutely, but about the situation. There are moments, they say, where he seems to question things privately. Moments where doubt flickers across his face before he pushes it down. Moments where he looks like someone who desperately wants to believe, but can't quite silence the whisper in his head asking, "What if?" The children complicate everything. If Harry truly believed nothing was wrong, why keep them so hidden? Why no photos with the royal family? Why no visits to England where they could be seen publicly? And the longer Archie and Lilibet remain invisible to everyone except carefully controlled social media posts, the louder the questions become. The worst part for Harry might be the isolation. He can't talk to his father honestly without betraying Meghan. He can't talk to Meghan honestly without betraying his doubts. He can't talk to friends without risking leaks. He's trapped in a silence that grows heavier every day. And if the investigation finds something, that silence will become unbearable because he'll have to choose the institution or the marriage, the truth or the lie, his legacy or his love. But Harry's struggle is nothing compared to the impossible position his father now faces. King Charles III inherited more than a crown. He inherited a crisis, and how he handles this investigation will define his reign more than any ceremony or policy ever could. Because this isn't just about Meghan and Harry. This is about what the monarchy stands for. Sources inside the palace say Charles has been torn apart by this. He's a father who wants to protect his son, but he's a king who must protect the crown, and those two responsibilities are now in direct conflict. The investigation wasn't entirely his choice. Parliament members made it clear. Questions needed answers, and if the palace didn't investigate internally, external forces would do it publicly. Charles could control the process or watch it spiral out of control. He chose control, but that choice came with a cost. It meant authorizing an investigation into his own grandchildren's births. What keeps Charles up at night is the worst-case scenario. What if the investigation finds fraud? The institutional response would be automatic. Titles revoked, succession removed, and Harry would be collateral damage, humiliated, betrayed, destroyed. Charles could theoretically suppress findings, but constitutional monarchy means Parliament has authority over succession matters. If evidence of fraud exists, members of Parliament would demand action. Charles couldn't protect Harry even if he wanted to. Charles has watched his family be torn apart by this situation. William won't speak to Harry. The children who should be cousins will be strangers, and it all traces back to questions that should have been answered 5 years ago, but weren't. Sources say Charles has tried reaching out directly to Meghan, asking her to help him understand. She hasn't responded, and that silence tells Charles everything he needs to know. If there was nothing to hide, why hide from conversation? But all the pressure, all the questions, all the investigations point to one unavoidable truth. The palace insiders who started whispering were right. Something doesn't match. Something requires investigation, and the investigation is real. The scrutiny is intensifying. The timeline is accelerating. What happens next depends on what investigators find. But here's what we know for certain. The pregnancy controversies that everyone remembers, the ones that became background noise, they're not background anymore. They're institutional priority. And Meghan knows it. She's known it for months. That's why her legal team mobilized. That's why communications stopped. That's why silence became strategy. But this is just the surface, because what's been uncovered goes deeper than anyone imagined. The storm is gathering force, and it's only just beginning.